Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Women's Natural Beauty Conference. Woo! I'm your host, Amy Heilman, and we're having a new conversation around beauty here, beauty inside out. And I'm really excited to be here with our guest today, Lindsay Ellis. Lindsay, thank you so much for being here and welcome.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to be here. My favorite topic of all time.
I know, me too. And as you and I have talked about, Lindsay, there's so many layers to this thing called beauty. And that's actually one thing that really drew me to you. I know your story and all the layers that are alive in your story. And so I'm really excited to highlight you today. Should we jump right in?
Let's do it.
Okay. So first, just tell us, Lindsay, what is your occupation? What do you do? And how did you come into this work?
Okay, I will be as succinct as possible. I have my own women's wellness and empowerment company, and I also am aligned with a disruptive beauty brand called Beauty Counter, and I'll get more into how I align with that company. And why I'm so passionate about the work that we do is I educate consumers about the lack of regulation in the cosmetics and personal care industry, the beauty industry. I also advocate for more health protective laws. So I'm part of the change, right? I'm actually part of the movement that's making waves and allowing Congress to understand what's really happening here. And I also help provide safer solutions in the form of products for consumers so they can feel like they feel confident in the products that they're using, especially a lot of products that we use every day just as humans, right? Like we brush our teeth, we wash our hair, we use deodorant most of the time, makeup, there's layers to that. And I'm also certified in human design, and I'm a human design coach. So a lot of my work is around transformation, is around our owning our beauty, owning our vitality. And with that, it's multi-layered. So it's like that starting from the inside out piece that's really important to me. And really what drew me to this work is I struggled from health issues, women's hormonal health issues for 10 years, 10 plus years, was on loads of medications. And I declared at 30 when I got engaged to my now husband that that I was ready to just start living for myself. And within 6 months was diagnosed with PCOS and completely reversed all of my symptoms. And I've been really on this path of educating and entrepreneurship ever since. And so my background's in environmental engineering. We'll get more into that later. And I left that space and now I leverage really my skill sets and what I did in that industry for many years and just make it easy for people and take the pressure off. Hopefully that answered everything.
Yeah, I think it did. And what a story. That's really powerful for you to declare that you are ready for a shift. And so what were the three biggest changes you made and how did they transform your body and your life?
Yeah, I love this question. Declaring is honestly the first one, committing and owning, right? Like owning that responsibility. A huge part of my why is that personal responsibility of what we're creating and not letting others take our power away. And I think the moment that I declared that piece, I moved mountains. So I would say declaring. Also, listening to my body's wisdom. There was a lot that other professionals and doctors were telling me and not really listening. And I just felt really disconnected from even my family who were trying to help me, right? Medical professionals trying to help me, doctors trying to help me, my family. But like I felt so connected to what was happening with me. And I felt like nobody was really listening and understanding. And so part of like after that declaration is really listening to your body, right? Like our body has so much wisdom. So that's the second piece is trust yourself and know that inner knowing is there and we just get to listen. So create the space to listen. And then third was, really looking at food and products and practices as like a way of nourishment and a way of just like living this vitality, like knowing that we're here for a reason, and really just not wanting to feel sick anymore. So it's like looking at your environment and how you're living your life and really again, owning that responsibility that like we get a choice of what we use on our skin. We get a choice of what we consume, whether it be the news, gossip, products we're using. So we get to be that filter. So again, like committed to aligned action, trusting yourself, and really like honoring your body and giving it what it needs and what you know that it needs. Those are my three.
That's so great. And what I like about what you're saying is it sounds like it sort of started external, right? Where there were, external influences that you were looking for support, you were looking for answers, you were looking for information. And then at the end of the day, you turned your eyes and your ears around, and the information that you really started listening to and trusting was the information within. Is that accurate?
Yeah. And I actually had really terrible cystic acne and like really painful periods and like just all these physical manifestations of what was happening. So I also love the parallel of like, sometimes it is external when we're like, we have rosacea or we have hives, or like there's something that's stress induced or something hormonally that's causing this like physical manifestation. That's like your body's way of telling you. Same thing with like BO, like you're not supposed to be stinky, right? It's like all of these things that our bodies do to detox and to tell us that something isn't right. And it took that for me to really start to make shifts. And my goal is to share with people my knowledge and what I've learned in my story so that we can be more proactive, because I do believe that, there's a lot of disease right now, a lot of chronic illness that, a lot of it is environmental and a lot of it is on the rise. And so I think if we can be more preventative and more proactive, we can really live this life of thriving vitality that I know that many of us are seeking.
Yeah. And it sounds like for you, and I think for so many of us who come into the world of holistic beauty or holistic health, it's learning the communication of the body. Because what you're saying, right, these symptoms that might show up externally or internally, either one, is really the body communicating. Like the body's actually doing us a favor by alerting us to an imbalance. Is that accurate for you?
I just got goosebumps, so it must be truth. Of
Awesome.
course. It's like I'm so passionate about, like, I get the modern world that we live in, but like everybody wants a quick 6 figures, a quick, like, like they want to find their perfect spouse or partner or relationship right away. And, it's like the money and this and the health, like everybody just wants a magic pill or a secret sauce. And that is not the reality, right? Like there's so much that it takes, and it takes dedication no matter what you're looking to create. And so I just want to be really transparent that like it wasn't easy work. Like those 6 months was not easy, but like I was so committed, and I knew in my core that I could heal myself. And I think that's what we all deserve, to like be so excited and so excited for the future that we're like committed to doing whatever it takes to come out on the other side.
Awesome. And given your experience, Lindsay, I am very curious, what is natural beauty to you?
I love this question too. So to me, natural beauty is really this definition. It really comes up to me where it's like something that exists universally, right? Like natural beauty is everywhere. I mean, we can see it in nature. We can see what Mother Earth creates. We can see it, you just look at a tree or you look at a flower and you look at like a bouquet of flowers, and not one is the same. And also it's like this universal principle, but like also the fact that each and every one of us are not the same, right? So it's like this individual piece of beauty, but also recognizing like there's this collective of beauty all around us, and this universal principle, which to me is just like this inner trust and inner knowing, and just owning who you are and owning your imperfections and owning that nobody else looks like you. And there's so much freedom in that, because, society and the media tells us that it's all external, and really beauty. And this is a topic that I still am working on, and it will likely forever be forever be something that I'm working on as a woman, but like just owning, I can give you an example. I used to dye my hair, highlight my hair blonde. I'm a strawberry blonde. And about 2 or 3 years ago, I started growing my natural hair color out. And when I tell you the amount of people who stop me on a daily basis or catch me on a Zoom or see a photo of me and compliment my hair, that honestly is very rare. It is very rare to have this hair color. And I hid it for so many years of my life because I was told that I was different. I was made fun of. And like I didn't look like everybody else, right? Like I was the minority in the room. And it took 30 years of my life to really start owning that and recognizing like people feel that presence when you start to own what God gave you. And it's so, like I said, it's so liberating to just be like, this is who I am, right? Same thing. I'm very fair. I can't tell you the number of times I used to bake in the sun as a teenager and in my 20s and, now paying the prices. And again, I just love my complexion. And I think we are, I think in a nutshell, it's like that owning who we are and knowing there is not one single person that is exactly like us on this planet. And that is such a gift.
I really like what you're saying. And what I'm hearing in what you're saying too is oftentimes, given the messages that we receive about beauty, it can feel like trying to put a square peg in a circular hole. Like you were talking about dyeing your hair, and I'm no different too, that where we try to fit into a certain image of what we think beauty is. And that shift that happens when we start to really own who we are and like who we're designed here to be, like who we're meant to be and how we're meant to express ourselves. Like
Yeah.
that is really powerful inside and out, right? Because nobody feels good when they're trying to fit themselves into a box. Like it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel authentic. And so I'm hearing in what you're saying is actually no, when you started to honor who you are at the authentic level, that's when things shifted for you.
Yeah, and it's like I love bright colors, and in the fall and winter everything is like gray, black and brown, and it's like who decided that I can't wear like a teal pea coat in the middle of winter, right? Like it's just like who decides what is beautiful and what's accepted. And guess what? When I rock my funky colors in the winter, I also get called out like go sister, you're rocking, like I stand out. And I think it's also about being confident and comfortable being seen, because I think that is why a lot of us try to fit in, so we can like go under the radar and have nobody like really notice us, especially as women. And so that's been a huge part of my work as well.
Beautiful. And a lot of your work is about clean beauty, especially with Beauty Counter. And so to you, what is clean beauty and what is natural? Well, you just answered what is natural beauty, but what is clean beauty? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, and I can talk a little bit more about natural. So clean beauty was actually, it's a very new term. And to be honest with you, Beauty Counter, I don't want to say we coined the term, but I believe that we did. And we really took this stand of clean because natural occurring elements. So this is where I shine because of my background in environmental sciences and really understanding that just because something is natural does not mean that it's safe for the body. And so again, we're talking safety. So when I hear clean beauty, I think safe. I think safer. I like to say safer, and so does Beauty Counter, because this is the wild, wild west here in the form of like what's really happening with our bodies. And there's so many industrial chemicals that have been introduced into commerce over the last few decades that it is really challenging to get a grasp on. And the human body is very complex. And so there's a lot of studies that are done, and there's a lot that we know, but there's also so much that we don't know. So I do want to share that it is a very challenging topic. And so for me, transparency is huge. So for me, when I hear clean beauty, it's a company that's being transparent. It's a company that is disclosing all of the ingredients, not using terms like fragrance or natural flavors in food, for example, because you don't know exactly what you're getting. To me, if there's something that is used for scent in a product, why not list the ingredients that are used to create that scent instead of second guessing and not knowing. So to me, a red flag of not clean is not being transparent. And really, when you hear natural, again, there's marketing that happens. Plant-based, botanically derived, natural. The colors are like beige and there's leaves on it and you see it and you want to grab it. And then you read the back and you're like, what on earth? I can't pronounce anything. But with natural, lead, mercury, arsenic are natural and they're harmful to humans, right? So again, I just want people to think like, you get to empower yourself with information and not just see a label and think that all of a sudden it's clean when it may not necessarily be. And same thing with synthetics. So again, in the modern world, like I love natural as much as possible, but we live in a modern world and we have a lot of advancements. And to be honest, there's a lot of synthetic ingredients that help with the efficacy of a product, that help preserve products in a way that makes sense and helps keep bacteria out of products. Again, for the modern human who is working and who can't make everything from scratch and, doesn't want to go whip it up or buy it from the store every couple days because it's perishable. And so just because something is synthetic does not mean that it's harmful. And just because something is natural does not mean that it's safe. So to me, clean is really testing and really partnering with organizations and like universities like Tufts University and like really these top of the line medical publications that have done so much research, because there's so much that exists. And that's what's really important to me, is just transparent, owning who you are, owning that you don't have all the answers, but knowing that you're continuing to set the bar higher and really continuing to be on this quest to, have a healthier future for people.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. There are so many clean makeup products available on the market now, especially given the movement that is expanding with clean beauty. And so, how do we choose?
Oh, it's a question of the hour. So I do want to share, there's an app called the EWG Healthy Living app. It's a nonprofit called the Environmental Working Group. It's not perfect, but it's a really great place to start. And they're also very transparent where they get their information. They list where they get their information, and they create a rating system that allows you, and it doesn't have every product, but it has thousands of products from not only beauty, but also cleaning supplies and food. So, home products as well. And so for people who get overwhelmed, it's a really great starting point just to start like noticing. And then also, I actually didn't include this in my guide, but I'm happy to share like my top 10 ingredients to avoid, because there are so many. And really, there's a lot of synonyms and a lot of, like you can see paraben, right? But paraben could have methyl in front of it or propyl, and there's all these other, what is it, like surnames, and I don't remember what it's called, but like there's actually words that you can pick up on and start to see and be like, okay, paraben free, okay, like sulfite free, okay, like I don't want aluminum in my deodorant, right? Like we're starting to hear these terms more and more, and really just starting simple. I would honestly say my biggest one is fragrance. If you could start with fragrance, just removing fragrance from anything that you're using on your body and in your home, that would be huge.
And why do you say that?
Because fragrance is a proprietary term that was actually coined, I don't know, probably like 30, 40 decades ago. And it was initially used for companies to not have to disclose their trade secrets. And now companies, there's like 7 conglomerates that own like the majority of beauty companies and really all companies in the entire world. And they're hiding ingredients in fragrance because it's a loophole. So honestly, there could be upwards of 2,000 ingredients in that one label, and you have no idea what you're getting. And this just made me think of the documentary called Stink on Netflix. And there was a poor little boy who could not attend high school because he was having such adverse reactions to Axe body spray from other kids in school. You know, like the kids love the Axe, the young gentlemen love the Axe. And he couldn't attend school, and Axe would not disclose what was in, what was in that, in those ingredient decks. And it stinks because the poor kid doesn't know what the ingredient is that's actually causing his flare up, and he's going into like anaphylactic shock. So again, it's like, I mean, there's 80,000 industrial chemicals on the market, and they all can be used with the exception of 30 in our products. And so it's challenging. It's really challenging, and it can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming, but there are companies and there are laws that are being passed. There's a lot of movements that are happening right now, in order to like actually raise the bar higher and start limiting a lot of these chemicals that we know are causing harm for people.
Wow, that's powerful information that you've just shared with us. And absolutely, we need to get that list from you. So I'll get it from you after the interview, Lindsay, and we'll get it to our audience today.
Yeah, and you can share maybe the hyperlink for EWG. There's an app. It's called the Skin Deep Database and the Healthy Living app. So there's maybe a few other tools that if you want to share when you launch this, happy to provide that for people.
Wonderful. Thank you. And so given this whole landscape that we're talking about with clean beauty, what do you see as the biggest obstacle between women and natural beauty, and how can they overcome it?
Yeah, I think it's like kind of everything that I shared. It's like, just love yourself, right? And just think of it like just think of what your body would want. Like what would your body need in that moment? And allowing yourself to have fun and not fit yourself inside of this box. And again, it's like trusting that inner knowing, like what would nourish my body right now? Like what could I do for myself right now that would feel really good? And I'm a huge proponent of like, products should accentuate our natural beauty. We should not be hiding in our products. Like for those of you watching this, you can see both Amy and I, like we're both wearing makeup, but like you see us, right? It's fun. It accentuates our features, but we're not sitting here hiding who we are. And I love that I get to just have fun with it. Like we're women, primarily women, or those who identify as women that are probably listening to this. And, it's like, again, we don't have to put ourselves in this box, and we can have fun and we can play and give ourselves nourishing baths. And just, if we want to have something like decadent, give it to yourself, but know that like, it's not going to be when you're stressed out and you're not going to be, like eating a whole tub of ice cream at night, right? But like if you're craving something, yeah, have fun, celebrate. So I think that's the biggest lesson that I've learned is just honoring that and not being so structured. And like the feminine likes to play, and the feminine like is flowy, and it doesn't need to all be figured out. And we don't need to know all the ingredients right now. I can see some of your minds going like, what am I going to do? And it's like, just making that commitment to shifting, like making that commitment to saying like, you know what, I want to honor my body and I'm going to start is huge. That's huge. So just declaring like, and guess what? If you make a boo-boo and you mess up and you fall off, there's always a new moment. There's always a new day, and you get to go back on there. And those little incremental shifts like build up over time into massive action. So I just want you to recognize that as well.
That's such beautiful advice. And also to know that if you fall down, there's a whole community of other women out here who are on this journey as well. So that's another declaration perhaps that some of you will make who are watching is like, okay, I'm going to find my people. I'm going to find the people who I align with. And that is a huge push forward for so many of us to have that support. So
yeah. I was going to say really quick, just like still in the heart of the pandemic. I mean, it's now been a full year since, like global shutdowns. And yeah, I just also want to remind you to like take the pressure off, and it doesn't need to be like this long drawn out process. And you can start with like really, really small shifts I mean, even 5 minutes, right? Like even just using that app and clicking a button online and purchasing something, or giving yourself a moment in nature to just like listen to what Amy and I shared, and just like recognizing all of the beauty around you, right? So it's like it's all around us, and it's so much simpler than we think. We just get to give ourselves that moment, right?
Absolutely. And become present to it.
Absolutely.
So, Lindsay, I know in your work you talk a lot about hormone balance. So, what are your top tips to keep our hormones in check?
Yeah, so I would say fragrance is like definitely up there for just ingredients, but parabens is absolutely one that I would avoid in products. It is an endocrine disruptor. It has been found in biopsies in breast cancer tumors. And what it does is it mimics estrogen in the body. And that's also why, you know, there's estrogen that builds up and drops as our normal flow happens throughout the month. And so when you have excess estrogen in the body, that could cause PMS. PMS is it's not normal. It's actually not, like, it happens, but it is actually not like something that should be happening before your monthly flow if you do get a flow. And so I'm really passionate about, you know, like looking at our environment also, and eliminating dairy, like because there's a lot of hormones that are pumped in cow's milk, unfortunately, right now. And so just being aware that there are alternatives. There's alternatives to so many things that work great and allow you to keep your body in sync. So there's two books that I read on my hormone journey, my hormone balancing journey. One was called Do Less by Kate Northrup. I'm sure you know her or her mother. And also it's called Woman Code by Alyssa Vitti. And I really started to understand how the woman's body works and how different we are than our male counterparts. And so when we entered the workplace in like the 60s and 70s as women, we were like put into this box again of like, here's a normal work day, here's a 24-hour cycle. And I think that's why a lot of women feel like we're failing, and why we have adrenal fatigue and just so many hormone imbalance issues, because it's really challenging for us. We are not meant to perform the same tasks every day. And when I say tasks, it's down to our work, it's down to our relationships, it's down to the food that we're eating, it's down to how we're moving our bodies. And once I really started to understand that, again, I felt a lot of relief, and I had fun with it. Like I'm like, the week of my cycle, I barely do anything. I've scheduled my business around it. I've scheduled my relationships around it. I've scheduled how I move my body. Sometimes I just, you know, stretch or walk my dog, like, you know, a couple times a week. And that honestly was huge. Again, listening to our body's rhythms. It follows the lunar cycle. Mother Nature makes no mistakes. There's a reason why it exactly follows the lunar cycle. And so that has been really profound for me, is again stepping out of my masculine and really stepping into that feminine way of being, and honoring that if I feel beautifully like vibrant and on fire today, and tomorrow maybe not so much, I'm like, okay, it's just my hormones, like they cycle so differently. So hopefully that helps a little bit.
That helps tremendously. Thank you for sharing that. And I love the idea of scheduling around your cycle. Beautiful tip. And I know you have a generous gift for our viewers today, Lindsay. Will you tell them what it is?
Yeah, so it's actually my cycle syncing guide that I created from the women who have come before me. And what I did is I explained kind of what I shared more here around the science, because I think it helps when you understand the science of a woman's body, and really understand what's happening. And then I basically break down, there's 4 phases to a woman's cycle. So there's the follicular phase, ovulation phase, the luteal phase, and of course the menstrual phase. And they all are very different. So I kind of broke it up into areas of my life that are important, and just gave some tips just to have fun with it. And I always say, just start small. Actually, the way that I started is, when I started to understand it more, I actually changed my workouts. I changed how I was moving my body. So for example, during ovulation, when I have most energy, I am doing like HIIT workouts and having fun and maybe going for a run with my puppy. And then maybe my luteal phase, just before my cycle, I'm doing more like yoga, right? Like I'm doing like more strength training, and I'm really like allowing myself these longer periods of just releasing and strength training really my body. And it's been really amazing. I feel so much better. So I really hope it helps. I've been implementing it for the last couple years, and refining it as I go.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Lindsay, for sharing that. What a gift.
Sure.
So, for those of you who are watching, be sure to click the link in your email to get Lindsay's gift. I have no doubt it's going to change your life. So, Lindsay, thank you so much for your time and your energy and your wisdom today. It's been such a pleasure to have you on our conference.
I'm so excited to listen to all the other speakers. I can't wait to hear everything that everybody comes up with. So thank you. And I'm sure that Amy will provide my contact information. And by all means, if you have any questions or want me to go deeper with you, I'm happy to provide some insight for you.
Absolutely. The door is always open. And thank you all for joining in today. And I'd like to remind you that there's still time to get lifetime access. We're giving you lifetime access forever to all the interviews, all the bonuses, and all the freebies for only $47. You are absolutely worth $47. Do not wait. Click the link in your email to get lifetime access. Plus, if you're one of the first 10 people to sign up for lifetime access, you get a free ticket to a fireside chat with me on April 5th at noon Central Time, where we get to hang out, have a cup of tea, and talk about all things beauty and all things natural. So don't hesitate. Click the link, get your lifetime access today. Thank you all so much for joining us. This is the Women's Natural Beauty Conference. I'm your host, Amy Heilman, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now. Mwah.
Bye.